What's this about new contract? Is that in talks in the air? Or?
Nah, it's the first I've heard of it. As I've said, and I said it a month back, 2 months ago, at the end of the season, I'll sit down with Jeremy and we'll talk. We'll talk about the season and talk about the future, and that's what we do, and that's what I've done, for years now. There's been no discussions about contracts or anything.
Where's that come from then?
I don't know. You better ring the journalist up and ask him.
Your mate?
It's your mate as well.
You've talked, though, extensively about the groundworks at this club and that there's a lot more that needs to be done. You've started doing it, I believe, haven't you? In and around the place, because you don't just deal with the first team squad. You like to build, don't you, from the bottom?
Well, there's everything. Every club you can go into, you can say that you'd like this to happen, like that to happen, everything else. As I've said before, it's a very, very well run football club. I don't think there's many clubs in the country who run as well as this financially. They've got everything in place. So Jeremy's done a fabulous job, and the people around the football club have done wonderful to keep it going and to have it in a position that it is at the moment. And we're just delighted, Pete, with 7 games to go, to have 40 points. And when you look at the bottom of the table and look at Villa, who are almost gone, Sunderland, Newcastle, whoever's going to be the third one, it's been such an eye-opener, I think, for everybody around to see those clubs, and I mean those clubs in that position, because they are massive, massive clubs, and everybody outside will understand and recognise now how difficult this league is, and you should never take it for granted.
Do you think, looking at the bottom and seeing Newcastle, seeing Aston Villa rooted to the bottom, do you think that shows what a good job you've done?
No, I just think it highlights the fact that nothing should be taken for granted in this league, and nobody should take anything for granted. And the great thing about it, Pete, is you look at the top of the league, and that it's running as strongly there as what it is at the bottom of the league.
What is it about this year then? What is it? I mean,
it's been fantastic in lots of respects, because it's shown that that irrespective of who you are, what your name is, or what your pretensions are, the facts are, if you don't win games in this league, you'll either struggle down the bottom or you won't win the championship.
If you don't get a new contract, you fancy getting Villa back up?
No, not at all. I've got a year left at this football club, and it's important that we keep pushing on and we keep progressing. Then I'll sit down and see what happens from then.
Thoughts on last week? What did you say to the lads after the game last week? And how do you?
Well, the 40 points was vital for us. It was very, very important to get the 40 points. It's been a strange week in lots of respects, because we've been doing different things off the pitch, with community and all. Got involved in the community, in some community schemes. So we have to get our heads in gear, because we're playing, a team that on their day are just a wonderful, wonderful team. They've got fantastic talent. They're one of maybe 2 or 3 teams that, if they play to their maximum on their day, they could beat anybody in the world. And I mean anybody in the world. And so we know how tough it's going to be.
Tony, you said you've been pretty happy here. It sounds you're very content with what you've done. Would you like to have the chance to have another go, have another contract?
Well, we'll see. Like I say, let me speak to Jeremy. I think the most important thing is that we try and finish the season as well and as strong as we possibly can. And then I'll sit down with Jeremy. I've still got a year left, so there's no rush in doing anything else. I prefer to sit with Jeremy and have a nice glass of wine and a bite to eat, whether it's on the south coast or whether it's where Jeremy is in London or in Jersey.
You've got a lot of youngsters coming through. I know last week you gave a 16-year-old a go. I mean, does that excite you for the future?
Well, I think the academy at this football club is the best I've ever been at any club I've ever been at, and it needs direction. I think the players are there. I think they need to be pushed maybe a little bit differently than what they are at the moment. I think if given that chance and given that opportunity, I think you'll see you know, the players bloom and push on, but they certainly got the talent. We've had most of the season, you know, 2 or 3 of the young ones coming up and training with us, and they've got exceptional talent. I think everybody involved in the academy should be really, really proud of what they're doing. The important thing is that next step, and you know, we tend to lose them for maybe 3 or 4 years because they don't play enough football. These kids need to get out and play football, and whether it's non-league football, first, second, third division football, whatever it is, they need to play football so they get that experience and they find out what it's all about. And I think that's very, very important to emphasise to the people at our football club.
Because of your achievements here, again, you've got the club into safety. Do you think you've won over the whole lot of the fans? Do you think you've made yourself more popular?
I've just said now that, you know, the supporters are the supporters. I'm a custodian of this football club for 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. They are lifelong supporters. They're born West Brom supporters, and they end up passing through the gates West Brom supporters. So they're here all their lives, and you have to respect the supporters. I have no qualms whether supporters like you, dislike you, at all. It's you know, you have to accept as a manager that they are West Brom through and through. Some will like you, some won't like you. Some can be persuaded, some can't be persuaded. You have to accept that. That's part and parcel of your job. And every club I've always been at, I've always respected the supporters. I've always respected their opinions. And I think you have to do that. I think, you know, that I'm a very, very fortunate person to be managing at the Premier League club and such a good club like this.